see where you normally just hear me. However, I'm filling in for my girl Mills. So today is Rise and Vibe D. And today we have the privilege of hosting two outstanding guests who have each made remarkable contributions to our nation's progress. First, we have a current member of parliament representing Party for Progress. Her dedication to public service and forward thinking initiatives has earned her immense respect and admiration. Joining her is a former minister from the same party whose visionary leadership and impactful policies have left a lasting legacy. It's an honor to have both of you here with us today. Let's dive into the conversation and hear from you too. So let's start off with you guys introducing yourself and letting the people know more about you.
Morning, Dishnian, and my name is Melissa Gumbs, current member of parliament for the Party for Progress for PFP. Currently in my second term, and then leading towards this upcoming snap election, hoping to come back for a third term or second and a half.
Good morning, Deshane. Good morning, St. Maarten radio listeners. Deshane, I must say that was a great intro that you just did there. You're speaking with Miklos Giterson, former minister of Rummy, now candidate number 12 on the Gold Slate, PFP Slate, running for the snap elections.
Okay, so former minister, this is your first time actually running
Correct.
for elections,
Correct.
right?
First time running for elections. A lot of people think I was on the list already, but no, I was appointed minister twice in 2018, and this is my first time actually running on a election slate.
Okay, and why Party for Progress? Why did you choose this party out of, I know they have a lot of different parties running this election.
9 in total.
Yes. So why this particular party?
And I must say others did ask me, but I've been with PFP from the beginning. I remember my first PFP meeting, we were still going over the name of the party. So I've been with PFP from the very beginning. I just didn't run the first 2 times on the slate. I was always a heavy supporter behind the party from the jump, from the initial get-go.
Yeah.
Okay, so what made you decide, since you said you didn't run on the slate before, what made you decide, this snap elections, I want to postulate myself and put myself forward?
That goes back to the first election when they did ask me to run. I wasn't ready. I always said I wasn't ready. The last election also, I said I wasn't ready, but then I had made a promise to myself to run on the next election. I just wasn't expecting it to be 2 months after the government's and for me to keep true to the people of St. Maarten, I have to keep true to myself. I kept my word, and here I am running on the next election. Yeah.
And I think too, like Miklos said, he was around when we were still trying to figure out what we were going to call the party. I mean, we went through a variety of different names, but he was always there, and we've always also been close from his time when he was minister and such. So for me, it's a great honor to have him here with us on the slate. So looking forward to see, how he'll do. And he's hit the ground running, I have to say, harder than I think even most veteran candidates have hit it. So I'm looking forward to see those results come out August 19th.
This is time now. I mean, we don't have much time, and it's a very important election. I mean, the second one for the year. We got to do this.
So you guys both said that when you guys were choosing the name for the party, you both were present. So why was that name chosen, Party for Progress?
So we went through first. We I think we had called it the abbreviation was going to be like PSA or something like that. And then I think my dad said, that's what they measure when men do a prostate exam, right? I said, oh my gosh. So I said, all right, well, never mind that. But we were truly trying to just look. At the end of the day, we've always branded ourselves as being progressive, as wanting to see things move forward. Thinking differently is what it's about, and that's how we ended up landing on Party for Progress. And it seems real simple to have gotten there. But anyone who's ever tried to name a company or anything like that knows that you go through a few varieties before you settle on something that resonates with you and with everyone involved. So, happy we got there in the end. Because
yes, it would have been a while.
It would have been a while here.
Okay, can you share with us what motivates you, MP, to enter politics?
Yeah, for me, it was never really an ambition that I had before. And I think I've said it before that really when I moved to the Netherlands, just for work, I was already working here. I had graduated. When I moved to the Netherlands, I really got close with some students and saw that, there were a lot of issues facing them now. We historically have always heard that students in the Netherlands they're either lazy or they're entitled or whatever. That's our own government was saying that about them, at one point in time. And I realized that actually the issue starts right here with the guidance that they get in the schools. And I co-founded a student organization while up there with the specific purpose of bringing st. Maarten students closer together. Aruba has their thing. Curacao will always have their thing for their people. But for us, we were lacking. So we started the organization. And then along the way, I thought to really fix the issues that exist and that that affect these students up here in Holland, we have to take it back home. So that kind of started the seed of what grew into PFP actually. Like the idea started in 2012 and we kept working on it, kept adding people like Pokemon and yeah, now here we are. So yeah.
Okay. What do you plan to do different this election than what you did last, even though it was right there?
Well, 6 months later, Deshania, what we've decided is trying to take it back to meeting the people where they're at. I think, one of the things that concerns me most is that people are very tired. They're very frustrated. I would also be frustrated. And I've told many people, if I wasn't running, I don't know if I would want to vote, but at the end of the day, I would because it's my civic duty. It's a right that people are still fighting for around the world, the right to be able to choose their representatives. And I definitely would still want to contribute to that. So trying to just, bring that message to the people directly, meet them in their districts, meet them in their homes, which we've always done as a party, but this time around, definitely ramping it up.
Okay, I know the PFP does campaigning a bit different, so you guys don't have the big public meetings. I know you guys keep it small. Do you believe that this works better, or you feel like this is just something that you guys do?
I think it's something that and I think Miklos having been around other big campaigns can maybe jump in as well. But I think it's something that has to change. We also started the party. When we talk about progress, we don't just talk about in government, etc. We talk about doing politics different, changing our political culture to a point where people are focused on the character of an individual and not their entertainment value. Because a lot of times what we see is candidates that they're very flashy and they're very like out there on a stage, but the content and the content of their character is lacking. And that is what you need really to drive things forward. You can have all the good solutions in the world, but if people's characters are not where it's meant to be, the solution is not going to happen.
And this way you have the heart-on-heart conversations. You meet someone more intimate and, you can hear their problems, but on a grand scale like that, you can't really connect to the St. Maarten people.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, understood. So former minister, reflecting on your time as a minister, what do you consider to be your most significant accomplishment?
Well, I would tie that into the reason why I'm running as well. Policy. I come out of the policy department at VROMI.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working in that department for over 20 years, from 2001. Back then it was Edo Bay, and then 10 we transformed into VROMI. And working in that department for so long, the team, I must say, not only me because I do GIS there, but the team has been working on policies and they never really had gotten anywhere. And when I was minister for the 20 months, we had the 2 zoning plans of Middle Region and Dutch Water reach the floor of Parliament for approval. They weren't approved, but they had gotten as far as the Council of Advice, I believe, right? So, and since then, no policies haven't been gotten that far. So I must say, I'm advocating for policies, and when I was there, I was proud of that. Of 2 of our projects
bringing it that far,
getting on the floor of Parliament for approval.
Okay, and what were some of your biggest challenges you faced while you were minister?
Well, okay, that's a good question. That was right after Hurricane Irma is when I went in January 2018, and back then it was building back resilient, building back better in a rush, because we had practically 6 months to prepare for the other hurricane season when I went in. So that was a challenge indeed. And then just dealing with the day-to-day, everyday operations in Vromi itself, that in itself is one of the biggest challenges I think anyone could face.
Yeah.
Correct.
And what lessons did you learn during your tenure that you think you can give advice to upcoming ministers or people that want to probably become a minister?
A lot of background checking,
Mhm.
a lot of reading, knowing your laws. You need to be a people's person as well, because a lot of people would approach you looking for assistance and help. And if you don't have that sincere, honest, characteristic about yourself, it could be challenging. You could get stressed very quickly. Yeah, it is a task not for the weak, I would say. You have to be strong, especially in Vromi, because you're dealing with a lot of, how you say,
Big characters.
yes, heavy players. Yeah.
Okay. How do you view the current political landscape compared to when you were in office?
Compared now. Back then, like I said, it was right after the hurricane. Everyone was had this helping hat on. Everyone wanted to assist, and because our island was in shambles at the time, and everyone wanted to focus on building back better. So back then, people were more friendly, if that's a good word to use. Now it's like cutthroat season. Everyone wants to slander each other, and I'm not about that. Like, I'm not about bashing or anything like that. I'm a guy looking for solutions and action.
I agree. I feel like a lot of politicians should follow suit. I feel like we have too much of the
Bashing.
bashing and stuff
slander,
like that. I feel like we should speak more about what you as an
solution.
individual can do for the
Exactly.
people of St. Maarten. Let's focus
Correct.
on ourselves
Yeah.
and what we
And
can
what we
bring to
could
the table.
contribute.
Yes, what
Correct.
we can bring to the table
Yeah.
and move like that.
And that's my attitude. I mean, I come out of a home where my mom was commissioner of education back in the 80s, and seeing her work ethic and the way she handles stuff, it inspired me a lot for this landscape that I am in today. So I must say I gave her a lot of credit too for helping me keep that hat on and staying focused and trying to do the right thing.
So you can basically say your mom inspired you to get into politics.
Yes, even though I don't like to say it, but that is the truth. That is the truth.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty. Yes. What is your opinion about the current government right now?
I think well, they're demissionaire, so
Yeah.
I think that they had very good intentions, but things happen, and I think that most are trying to kind of do their best in this status that they're in until whatever happens August 19th. Um, I do I do believe that there are people are frustrated, but I also think people have to understand that they're also operating in a frustrated environment. Coming in to also now discover that you have to bring budget amendments to make budget cuts because the budget that was passed in March by the previous administration, was inflated basically. Like, these are the something that I asked and I said on the floor of Parliament, because there were things in that budget, revenues projected in that budget, where I said, you don't have any legal basis to expect this revenue to come in, the tourist tax, sale of some shares of Winair, but you put it in there. And yes, a budget is meant to be projections, but when you're dealing as a country, it's not very much an analogy I like to use is like, okay, you look at like Sony, right? They can project they're going to sell X amount of PlayStation 5 because the PlayStation 5 is there. But if the legislation for what you're projecting isn't there, you can't really project it. And indeed, those have had to be taken out to reflect a more realistic budget. So now, whereas you thought you had, X amount to kind of hire people, Vrami especially is a ministry that has been left understaffed severely. I think like 23 vacancies or something like that now. More than 20, yeah. So it's now it's kind of frustrating even more to kind of have to work within that poor environment. And I think, they're doing their best. I can speak very clearly on the Ministry of Rami, at least, because that's the portfolio that we have, and so I know that they're doing their best, but there's definitely a lot of work to be done. And I think what I appreciate from especially this current government, from the Minister of Rami, from the Minister of Finance, is just a commitment to just be honest and just be open with the reality of the situation. I think when you sugarcoat things, they're not able to make informed decisions. They're not even able to plan, really, for themselves and for their lives. Because, if it's not this, then how did I make all these plans about this money I'm going to be getting, etc. So yeah, I think they're doing their best, and we'll hopefully get a chance to continue doing it after August 19th.
Yeah,
you work in it, so you should know.
The difference between back then when I was there and now is definitely staff. The hands that we had on deck. Back then we had all hands on deck, almost all hands. I mean, it still had some vacant positions, but now it's like more than 24, I would say, like almost 24 workers that we need. And these are crucial roles that need to be fulfilled so that work can be executed in the right manner. But it's a challenge to get employees right now in from.
Yeah.
How do you see the current snap elections impacting the political landscape of St. Maarten?
That's a good one. I hoping that the people come out to vote, because with this is my first campaign, and a lot of people telling me, I wasn't planning on voting. I didn't even want to vote, but now that you show me that you're running, I will go out and try to support you. And I'm begging the whole of the country to please go out and vote. Even if I did tell them, even if you don't want to vote for me, PFP, even though you should, but if you don't want to vote for me, just go out and vote. Go out and
I think that's the biggest risk that we have, is that from a turnout perspective, that it drops, because like I said earlier, people are frustrated, people are annoyed that they have to go back to the polls, and if you look at the snap that was recently held on the French side there, also a very low turnout, and I think that is that's something we see in the world over, that people are getting, I guess, not tired, but
weary.
Just weary, of democracy in general, which is unfortunate, because you really do need their voice to truly say that, these are the representatives of the people. So I think that, and you have 9 parties. I think a lot of votes may be eaten up by especially the smaller parties, in the sense of they will kind of go to them, and that also impacts the seat quota, etc. So all of those are things to consider, definitely, as we move forward in this.
Okay. How important is collaboration between different parties during and after elections for St. Maarten stability?
I think during election, everybody's campaigning, so you'll see, former coalition partners kind of throwing little shots at each other, and it will become about politics eventually. But I do think that it's good still to also see where do you align and with whom, for when the after comes, that you can have an honest conversation about, how can we manage to keep something together for 4 years and work in harmony. That's really the challenge. You're never going to find it, I think, 100%, but I think bigger democracies, like for example in Holland, have shown us that sometimes you just got to try, and see, how best you can kind of push forward to make the change that people need.
I think the challenge is working in harmony with everyone, because not everyone you could see as a team player. And if I may say so myself, I always say teamwork makes the dream work. I'm heavy on team playing, and I think that is the only way that we would go forward. PFP is one of the most brilliant teams I've ever been a part of. It's just their minds, just to see how they work together, get along with each other. And if you could have an environment like that in Parliament, it would be perfect. And I'm not like I said earlier, I'm not here to be slandering anyone and bashing anyone and trying to grandstand over someone. I just want things to work. I just want us to make it work for St. Maarten, for the people out there, because those are who we representing.
Okay. You didn't tell us, what are you championing? What is your main focus this election, and in general, what's your platform?
I'm championing policies
Mhm.
coming out of that department. I need to see more policies approved, levies, ordinances, not only approved but enforced, because a lot
That
of
is a
them
challenge,
are, they exist already, but they're not enforced. And that is why I think the island is in the state that it is in. Like, we have a friend of mine told me a lot of the people are being demoralized because they don't, like, you could litter on the street and you won't get a fine. For instance,
Mhm.
things like that. And that is why St. Maarten have so much garbage, and we don't have a road funds in place. I'm championing the road funds as well. That is something that we already started working on. Hillside policy, everyone who knows me knows I love to hike. Almost every weekend I'm up in the mountains hiking, and I would die on a St. Maarten hill before I leave. Somebody come and, like, try to wipe it out. So policies coming out of the policy department, I'm heavy behind the policies, advocating for them.
Okay. And
For us, for me, it's always been about better governance. Like I said earlier, you hear about solutions, and even we also have solutions, but the solutions have to be backed by a commitment to ethical decision making and good governance. Without that, that is how money goes missing. That is how projects don't get finished. If you are approaching it from just the flash of it, and it looks glitzy, and not from well, these are the decisions that need to be taken to take us from step A to B, B to C, et cetera, et cetera. I think, we continue to maintain that is how we're actually going to push through some of the difficulties now being faced by the previous government and this government. And I think that's why being honest about the reality is so important, because, you can, if you let people know this is where we at, then they can also walk with you on that journey to get us out of it. Because that's really what you need. It's people in partnership. And without the people, you're not going to get anywhere.
correct. So if I a first time voter, I don't know who I'm voting for, I'm not informed about anything, how would you convince me to vote for yourself? And if you're not even trying to make me vote for you in particular, for the party, how would you convince me?
I think for me, it really depends too on the age of the voter, because everybody is looking for something different. When I listen to, our seniors, they're looking, well, who's looking out for me in my twilight years? And to that, I would say, you also need people who are making good decisions to carry you into, that stage of your life, but also who's making good decisions for your grandchildren, because that is who everybody should be looking towards. That is literally the future. We've all been hearing it since we were kids. And it is true. If it's persons that are that 18 to 25 group, I hear a lot that they, gravitate towards X candidate or B candidate because, well, they're popular and such. And that's why I said last time, at a certain point in time, the Fed gonna done. And you have to focus on, well, who is making the decisions now to make sure that when I'm hitting that, my 30s, my 40s, when I'm approaching that retirement age and my parents are already at, or my grandparents already passed, who is going to be making the decisions now to make sure that we don't run into problems later. What we're experiencing now as a country is the last 40, 50 years of decision making. That's the reality, from the dump to our spending, to our approach to development. All of that is back then. You see the one decision taken now, it just has a ripple effect through time. And so that's really what I think I try to focus on a lot. And I encourage my candidates to focus on, it's everybody is looking for something different, and you have to find within yourself, well, at the heart of it all is good decision making with a true heart for the country, that doesn't want to necessarily see themselves move forward, or it's not about how many votes do I get or such. It's literally, is this decision going to be right for not just me currently in this moment, but for the people coming after me and the people coming after them? Because if I look at, I'm 40, so if I think about when I was 10, the decisions taken then are now affecting me. You understand? So when I was 18, what was done then is now affecting me.
Right.
So I think very much about, how does the current voter look at it? And are they looking at, the true character of people? Are they just looking at who's popular? And that I think it changes the message a bit.
Yeah.
Right. I always tell people who vote for progress. It's on our coat of arms, Semper Progrediens. That's all to be always progressing. Like Melissa said, the future is what counts. My biggest enemy, public enemy number one, is the dump. I always had a problem with the dump when I was minister and made a comment that the dump is a monster. And I remember that went haywire. Like, I remember the coalition at the time pulling me up for saying it. And I was like, but it's the truth, like it's killing people. Like, it could be killing people, but as a minister, you couldn't be saying these kind of things, which I learned now. But like, the future depends on our nation, our city, our capital, and for us to have a dump in the middle of the city like this is not progressive.
But again, a decision taken years before most of us were born.
Exactly. So like, things like that is what I plan to tackle and focus on. And voting for PFP, or for me, I think that is your voice telling you that you have a concern with these issues as well, and you want them to be handled. And PFP, Party for Progress, this is what we do. This is the things that we focus on and trying to fix.
Okay. So if an individual wants to reach out to either of you guys personally, how can they do so?
Social media. Our
Facebook.
socials are open. Facebook, the PFP socials are available as well.
Instagram,
whether Instagram, Facebook. Well, I'm on the app formerly known as Twitter. A lot, not everybody in the party is, but me for sure. I think most people could say. Pretty active on that. So it's literally, people have messaged me on Facebook. I will always answer. I don't like to leave things hanging. Nicholas could tell you I'm very quick on the message back. So yeah, you can reach out via our personal socials or via the party socials.
And I'm also the contact person at the cabinet of Romy. So like, it's on the government website if you need to contact the cabinet or me.
Me too.
Yeah, you can.
Your town hall meetings, when will?
So we have actually deviated. We're not really doing town halls, but we are doing so just kind of concentrated get-togethers. This Saturday we will be in St. Peter's from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the community center in the basketball court. Just to, like I said, it's not so much about the formalities of us standing with a mic in front of people. It's really about persons being able to just come up to us and just ask a question or just have a conversation. We have Miklos as a new candidate. We have former MP Solange Lumina Duncan as a candidate joining the list. So it's to meet everyone that you met in January plus two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people can meet you guys this Saturday.
This Saturday, St. Peter's. If you're from St. Peter's, South Chua, Cul-de-sac, come through. It's really trying to just take it back to what we started off as. So less of a formality, more of just these are folks that are asking for your mandate to run the country, to govern in a ethical and integral manner. And come out and have a chat. There'll be games and snacks. Yeah, I gotta point that out. There'll be games for the kids. So don't be like, I don't have a babysitter. You can bring the kids. The games are there, so it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Hopefully the weather.
Yeah. It will.
Yes.
Okay, so before we close up, is there anything else you would like to add?
I think just go out and vote. I try to overcome that frustration because others with bad characters are counting on you being frustrated and not actually coming out to vote. I think this is even more important, I think, than the January election, because at the end of the day, I think persons need to reflect on who helped to drop a government in 17 days, a record we should never have set as a country. And I think that it's time to punish not just, the jumper, but the ones who held the jump in.
Right.
Anything else? No?
That was very good. That was basically it in a nutshell. Yeah. Come out and vote. I heavy on the come out and vote.
And what candidate number are you?
Number 12. I'm number 12 on PFP.
And number 1.
Number 1, yes. All right. So that was 2 of the candidates running on the PFP Party for Progress party.
Yes,
political party. And they came in to chat with us and inform us a bit more about themselves and what they're championing and what they stand for, and encourage you guys to vote
Yes.
for them. It is currently now 38 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. And like I said before, it's your girl D, and this was Rise and Vibe with